my subjects. I think it's time for us to read more about the history of the colonies, and I'm starting with tensions with Britain. I'm on page 192, please. The British, that's me, and the French, as well as the colonists, that's you, and the American Indians all took part in the French and Indian War. Each group had its own reasons to go to war. France and Britain were European rivals who fought over land in North America. Don't like them very much. American Indians wanted to keep their lands. The British colonists, that's you, felt loyal to Britain, that's me, and as it should be. Soon, however, tension between the colonies and Britain would rise. Then the idea of revolution began to grow, especially in the middle colonies. Their colonists saw differences between themselves and the British. Taxes caused trouble at the top of 193. The British became involved in the French and Indian War because they believed that the Ohio River Valley belonged to them. The king also believed that he was protecting the colonists who had settled on this land. I told you that in class, that I did this as a gesture to protect you and to keep you safe so that you could pay my taxes. As you have read, the Treaty of Paris in 1763 gave Britain large sections of North America, including French territories east of the Mississippi River. King George III of England, that's me, kept the colonists from expanding further westward. Remember, that was the proclamation, 1763. You enjoyed that in class, and I certainly enjoy the space. He hoped to keep peace with American Indians who lived on those lands. During the French and Indian War, the British ordered the colonies to organize so that they could make treaties between the colonies and the Iroquois Confederacy. That's the Native Americans. The result was the Albany Plan of Union. Proposed by Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, the plan called for a Congress, or a law-making body. The Congress would represent all of the colonies. It would have the power to keep an army, levy taxes, and a plan for westward expansion. The document said in part, that they make laws for regulating and governing such new settlements till the Crown shall think fit to form them into particular governments. The Albany Plan of Union, 1754. Primary source right there. That means that it came straight from the text. They wrote that down, and that's exactly what the text said. And it's saying that their little Congress should make laws for themselves and govern them until the Crown, that would be me with the Crown, shall think fit to form them into particular governments. I don't know that I like this at all. The plan was rejected by King George III, who feared it would make the colonies too powerful. That's exactly what I was thinking. Too powerful. You shouldn't be able to form your own taxes or make treaties. And a plan for westward expansion? I don't think so. I think that that's my job. I'll be collecting the taxes, not you. All right, back on the top of 194. In addition, leaders in Great Britain decided to tax American colonists to pay for the French and Indian War. That's right, you had the war, it was on your soil, and I think you should have to pay for it. It's very expensive to have all the soldiers there, keeping you safe. Soldiers are expensive, they're protecting the colony. I shouldn't have to pay for all of that. I mean, it would cut down on the lavish parties I could have, and my afternoon tea, I might have to give up biscuits or something. No, I don't think so. I think you should definitely have to pay for that. Great Britain had enormous debt, which meant that it owed money. Britain then passed the Stamp Act. Ooh, that's a really good idea I had. You're going to hate it, but I love it. Which taxed every piece of printed paper that the colonists used. This included legal documents, newspapers, licenses, And even playing cards was such a good idea. Just to tax everything paper. You know what? I bet Mrs. Hendricks would like it if you paid a stamp tax at school. Yes, that's a brilliant idea. She's going to be very keen on that idea. I'm telling you that right now. She's going to like it. I think you guys should just brace yourselves because I have a feeling you're going to be paying taxes when you get back. Mark my words. Consider it a proclamation. Stamp Act for your class. Colonists were not represented in Parliament, Britain's assembly that makes laws. Many felt the British government should not tax them. No taxation without representation became a common cry. Colonists believed only representatives they elected to their colonial assemblies could pass laws. They think I can't pass laws just because I'm way far away and I don't care what they think. They think I can't pass laws. Of course I can pass laws. Of course I can charge taxes. I'm the king. King George III, to be specific. Of course I can. They feel like they ought to be represented. I don't have time for that. Last paragraph on 194. The Albany Plan caused colonists to begin thinking about forming a union. Some colonists, such as Patrick Henry from Virginia, became outspoken opponents of the Stamp Act, and soon the colonists were meeting to discuss the situation. You can see right there in your book on 194, it says 1 penny sheet. A 1 penny stamp. Parliament required a stamp on every piece of printed paper in the colonies as part of the Stamp Act. Yes, we're absolutely going to do that. 1 stamp on every paper. Make it so. Moving over to 195. At the top, there's a political cartoon published by Benjamin Franklin. It shows the weakness of the colonies because they were divided. The pieces of the snake represent the colonies. The NE at the head of the snake stands for the 4 New England colonies. Oh, you can see where he's actually put the little letters that stand for the different colonies on that snake and how it's all separate. Join or die. Seems very serious. Colonists take action. In response to what they believe to be unjust taxation, it's not unjust. I decided I was going to have a tax and that you should have to pay it, and I think that makes it very just. Some colonies requested that Parliament repeal the Stamp Act. Those requests were rejected. Let me think about it. No! It's a great tax. Of course I want that money. In 1765, representatives from 9 colonies met in New York for a meeting that was called the Stamp Act Congress. The Congress consisted of delegates or representatives from the colonies, including farmers, lawyers, and businessmen. As a group, they demanded that Parliament repeal the Stamp Act. Although the taxes were small, the colonists did not like the pattern they set. Because they felt like they ought to have representation, they didn't want to get started with allowing me to decide what kind of taxes you were going to have. At this time, most colonists were loyal to the Crown. Of course, they should be. They took issue only with Parliament's taxation. The Stamp Act resolves. The resulting Stamp Act Congress acknowledged that the king still had the right to make laws in the colonies. Other groups wanted to send a stronger message to the king. A group called the Sons of Liberty began to organize protests against the Stamp Act. They wrote literature encouraging boycotts or refusal to buy British products. The Sons of Liberty was a secret group. It formed in 1765 to protect colonists' rights and protest British taxation. I don't know what the problem is. I really don't know why you're bothering. It's very fair. I'm allowed to collect money. I'm in charge of the whole country, as a matter of fact. You, colonists, need to get over it. I deserve the money, and it was your war. Never mind the fact that I've had history with France and we've had lots of wars with them for years. That's beside the point. This was a war that happened in North America, and I refuse to pay for it. Expect to be taxed.